And now that we are going to have see for the first time the designs of the sports quarter, in particular the stadium, which is what most fans will be really looking at, it allows us to enjoy it, knowing that the Knighthead are, in complete and utter ownership of the club now. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And now that we're in the third international break of the season, it gives us an opportunity to look at some wider issues or content that we wouldn't normally cover during the season, obviously for the busyness of following the games, previews and post-match. And we've got a great one to start with. And we just recently all heard the great news that Knighthead have now acquired all of the club. We knew about the situation when they bought it. They weren't minority shareholders, but now that has happened. And in this podcast, myself and Matt are going to discuss what it means really for the club and how we think this will affect us going forward. So it was great news that when it Matt to hear that the Knighthead have actually taken full and complete ownership now.
I don't want to be dramatic or sort of overplayed, but I think this is a huge moment in our club's history. I feel like it's closure on the misery of the last ownership. BSHL, we all wanted them out for a very long time. And I think since Knighthead took over in 2023, we've all been asking that question, haven't we? When are they going to go from, was it 48 point something up to 100? And it looks like now they've finally got it over the line. Knighthead and Tom Wagner are fully at the wheel. I mean, they always were. I think the legal contracts were always airtight, but there's just something about having an official 100% ownership, isn't there? So I am thrilled. And Dad, I'm not a bloke who normally drinks at home. I'm really not. I like a drink. I don't normally drink at home. I actually had a bottle of beer to celebrate the night it was announced. I was that excited. So fantastic news. As I said, we can look forward and onwards and upwards now, but bigger for me is that we can close this chapter of misery for the last, 13, 14 years that we've had under BSHL. So, really exciting times.
Yeah, and it's one of those questions that we constantly get asked, isn't it, on the channel? When's it like to happen? And when we ask our fans to give us questions, that always comes up, and now it's actually happened. It is great. I am going to read out the short statement the Blues put out. It is short, about just to confirm the sort of details. And it was great because I think Tom Wagner was asked in the open house about this, and he said soon. And I don't any of us ever imagined it would be this quick. But this is a statement the Blues put out on Friday, the Friday just gone, 7th of November. And it says this: Knighthead Capital Management LLC is pleased to announce that through its affiliate Shelby Companies Limited, it has completed the acquisition of the remaining 51% of shares of Birmingham City owned by Zoe Future Groups, formerly Birmingham Sports Holdings Limited. Shelby Limited will now hold 96.64% of Birmingham City Limited, which holds 100% ownership of Birmingham City Football Club Limited and Birmingham City Women's Football Club Limited. Shelby Limited will continue to be solely responsible for all the operations of the club. Tom Wagner, chairman of Birmingham City and co-founder and managing member of Knighthead, said, "This transaction is another important milestone for Knighthead and Birmingham City Football Club. Transformation has taken place across every aspect of the club's operations since our initial investment, and it's just the beginning. Later this month, we will unveil our new stadium design, which will be at the heart of East Birmingham Sports Quarter. And the ambition for our club is to be a beacon of excellence for Birmingham on the global stage. The journey to deliver this is well underway." Fantastic statement.
I think the marrying up now between the 20th of November and the 100% ownership just makes that moment that extra bit special, doesn't it, now, when they unveil the plans for the new stadium. The fact that they're 100% in charge, I think now makes that 20th even more significant.
It's a way. I'm the same as every other Blues fan. I'm sure you felt the same. Even though we knew that Knighthead had full control of the club in terms of the operational control, we knew that there was always this lingering in the background that they weren't, they weren't the majority shareholders or majority owners, and now that's gone, and I think that takes a lot of pressure off. It's like a little bit like when Coventry City bought their stadium a couple of months ago, that was a big relief for their fans. For us, I think this will be a massive relief for us because you always knew it was going to happen because of the way that Tom Wagner and Knighthead were investing in the club and the future, what it holds. But to have it actually rubber stamped means that all of that conversation now goes away.
Yeah, and what I love about this, Dad, a lot of Blues fans will totally understand what I mean, but we're quite a glass half empty fan base. I think we almost get imposter syndrome sometimes when things go well, that the wheels are going to fall off.
Yeah.
I feel like this ownership and this takeover now allows us to look forward, be passionate, don't feel guilty for having a bit of success. Things are going to be good for us now on the football pitch and surrounding this club moving forward. And I don't think we should feel bad about that. And I think this takeover and this 100% ownership now allows us to push on. One of the best things I loved about the Amazon Blues documentary, Dad, we had Brummy Joe, we had the two ladies, we had Sam and her daughter and stuff. And as a fan base, I think it represented us really well, a bit downbeat, a bit negative in terms of, what's around the corner to hit us in the face as a Blues fan base. Whereas now I feel like this ownership, this takeover, as I said, it gives us our ambition back and it allows us now to look forward and onwards and upwards.
Yeah, and it is about the future now, isn't it? And, but again, I think that we enjoy it or will enjoy it or continue to enjoy it so much more because of what we've been through. And it's worth reminding ourselves what it was like. And I don't, if any fans for other clubs are tuning into this and they don't understand what it actually means, just to give you a bit of a history of what's happened to our club prior to the purchase of the club from Knighthead, we were mismanaged. Financial and professional mismanagement. The club were announced or alluded to be in £120 million worth of debt, and heavily reliant on parent companies for bailouts. That's why the finances were it was so complicated that I think even Tom Wagner said when he first looking at the club, it was such a complicated deal. And for him to say that, and they're buying businesses and companies all the time, it was a real mess. And we didn't, and as fans, we didn't know who was in charge of our club. No. There was no visible leadership. There was no communication with the fans.
Faceless owners, right?
And we got found guilty by the EFL on a number of occasions. In 2009, we had a 9-point penalty. We didn't get relegated that season either. We stayed up with the 9-point deduction. The owners, a big thing for the fans, and what's changed significantly is the previous owners were just absent. I think one of the protests, masks on to represent faceless owners, wasn't it? You can't say that of Knighthead. I mean, Tom Wagner and the leadership team are so visible.
Also, it's been well documented, Dad, from players that played for us during that era. Showers weren't working. Canteen often didn't have the full set of food. I believe at one point they all had to have a whip around to buy some balls for the training. They're about to have on that day. You can't be having that as a professional football club. I'm very fortunate enough to have been to the Epic Training Centre, and it is absolutely incredible. All the latest technology, all the greatest bells and whistles in the dumbbell room and the machines and stuff like that. And that's how you carry yourself as a football club. It is about the results you got on the pitch. I get that, but it's about the infrastructure and everything else surrounding your club, isn't it? The training, the women's team, the academies, what you do in the community, the sponsorships that you pull in, the revenue you're able to take. That's what creates a football club and a successful football club. So, when you think about what happened before Knighthead with the showers and everything you just listed, I don't want to repeat it, and where we are now, it is quite literally day and night.
Yeah, it is. And, the stadium was falling to bits, with complete decay to a point where we had the bottom half of our Cop and Tilton was closed for unsafe reasons because of that there was works that needed to be done to the foundations. And
I forgot we lived through that. I just completely blocked it out. I forgot about it.
At first, I think the works were just about to start, but that was I think it was 2 years.
I remember under Eustace's era, Dad, and Lee Bowyer's era as well. The whole bottom bit was just.
You look at the stadium now; it's absolutely, and that's a stadium that's going to be demolished at some point because we're going to have our new stadium. And it just literally was a whole period of instability and decline, and this is what happened, and this is why when Knighthead bought the club, I think we didn't know real much about them when they took over the club, but to be honest with you, a lot of Blues fans, not that they didn't care about them, they just wanted to at all costs get rid of the old owners. But we had no idea really that Knighthead were going to be such ambitious owners.
Well, it got that bad, didn't it? Do you remember when Maxi Lopez and Richardson were going to take over? And at the time, I think as a fan base, we were going to take it because we were desperate. I'd be lying to myself or lying to the fans on the channel if I said, at the time, contextually here, I was almost rooting for that transfer and that takeover to take place, because we were just in such a dire strait and situation. Whereas actually that would have, in hindsight now with where we are, wouldn't have been a good decision. Tom Wagner and Knighthead really know how to create revenue, run a football club and everything that we've seen, the difference that they've made. But, that's where we were.
Yeah.
And it was tragic.
And we are run now so professionally. You know, everything is just run properly, and it's really, really strange based upon what I've just said about where we were to where we are now. It is literally completely different, completely night and day. And what I think as well, now this has happened, I think the timing is not by chance either. I think this has purposely been done prior to the announcement of the plans for the sports quarter. So that when they are announced, then clearly it's all Knighthead now.
Yeah.
That clears up everything in terms of any lingering issues or things that could have occurred because of it, and just allows Knighthead now to steam ahead because they do have full control of the club.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's 96.odd%. I think the rest of it is Tom Brady, isn't it? He's got some. I've rumored about 3% odd.
Yeah.
Of the club, so it's fantastic news, and obviously the sports quarter. We know we've done podcasts on the sports quarter, and we'll continue to do that as we know more, and as the plans start to evolve. But the plans, if you're a fan of another club, we're projected to be building a 62,000 seater brand new stadium, but it's not just a stadium. If you look at our plans, 135 acres just on the periphery of the main city centre in Birmingham. That's going to include all of our men's and women's training pitches, an arena, commercial, retail. It's going to have loads and loads of stuff. So it's not just a stadium, is it?
No, it's going to be for England games, concerts, maybe NFL games. Who knows what the future holds for that stadium? But it's not going to be a football stadium. It's going to be a hub of entertainment.
Yeah.
And the benefit to the local economy in terms of jobs, the benefit to the local area in terms of transport links. It's a very, very underfunded part of Birmingham.
Yeah.
So it's going to be understated what that does for the community, which is going to be incredible. I just want to say, Dave, we can talk about all the positives that Knighthead have done. I love the merchandise we now have, the sponsorships we have, all the investment in the women's team and the community projects that they do, and everything that they've done is fantastic. But for me, with the amount of time we spend down St.Andrews, I'm so grateful for the transformation in the match day experience.
Yeah.
It's now a pleasure to go down St.Andrews. All I want to do is get there early, have a beer, have some nice food, have a chat with like-minded people. We're always engaging with fans and the Blues, and it's just wonderful now to go down there, it not be a miserable experience. Good beer, there's hot water on in the taps, in the toilet. We joked about that for years, didn't we, Dad? Even on this podcast when we first started, we joked about the water in the taps. And there are definitely some things to iron out over the years coming forward as well. But Knighthead have got it in full control, and no doubt that we're in safe hands. But I just love the match day experience at the moment. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to go down there, and we spend so much time there. You want to have some decent food and company and beer and stuff. So for me, the biggest thing I'm grateful for, just in terms of everything they've done, is just improving that match day experience.
It will, and you mentioned revenues earlier, and I know that's something that Knighthead have clearly made as a priority to develop the club, but that's going to feed into the playing squad as well, because the more revenue you create, the more you've got available. Now, as people know, when they first came in, we got relegated. It was a real kick in the teeth to get relegated, but it happened. But we came back up with record points, and now we're in a position where we are competitive already in the Championship, but we know that the team needs more work, it needs to develop, and I think we'll start to see that over future transfer windows. But it's not an immediate fix. You don't get an owner come in, even if they spend as much as Knighthead have spent already. It's not an immediate. You can't just turn a team around just by putting money. We've seen that time and time again in all leagues, in the Premier League, in Championship, everywhere, all around the world actually, where you see owners coming in, chucking a load of money at it, and they don't really change very much. But
money is never guaranteed success. If it did, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, all of them would be mega competitive at the top of the table. It doesn't. Each team gets its moment in glory, doesn't it? We've seen Man City dominate recently. Liverpool seem like they have had a good few years. Chelsea and Man United have actually had really underwhelming last 10 years. So if money bought you football, those two clubs, if we're just going to name those two as an example, would be doing a lot better than what they are. They've still won trophies, I get it. They've still done okay, but it's not an immediate and guaranteed marker of success in football.
It isn't, but I think that Knighthead will know that to the fans, that the priority is what goes on the pitch. It's great what's going on off the pitch. It's fantastic. It's exciting, but it means very little unless we've got a competitive team that's winning
regular games. Completely agree.
And I think that is starting to change. We know we've already seen a big improvement compared to the squad that they inherited when they first came in. They couldn't do very much when they came in because they came in, I think it was in July
of 2023.
So most of the transfer window had basically gone by then anyway.
Yeah.
And even then, because of the mess that the previous owners had left behind, there was very little wiggle room in the financial, rules, so they couldn't do very much.
Just to remind people, that was the summer transfer window. We got Ethan Laird, Tyler Roberts, Siriki Dembele.
Yeah.
That was that batch that came in the summer. And Knighthead and Tom Wagner admitted it was frustrating coming in with the finances being in such a mess that they couldn't invest.
Yeah.
And we all knew it was the League, well, we didn't know at the time, but the League One season was the summer that we could invest, and we've carried on going with that momentum. So, 'cause obviously we're not financial experts at FFP, PSI, all this stuff, but it works in cycles, don't it?
Yeah.
And I think it was lifted in that League One season where they could afford to spend a little bit of money, hence Jay Stansfield coming in for the price tag that he did. But yeah, it's...
I think as well, but I think what you mentioned there is quite important in terms of timing, because obviously they've came in, they've made all these commercial partnerships, increased the revenue, but I don't think we've seen the benefit in our financial accounts of that revenue, just because it takes 18 months, 2 years to filter through into accounts, doesn't it?
It does.
So I think we'll have more spending power, a lot more spending power, an awful lot more spending power moving forward, because of the, it is about profit and loss, isn't it? So if your accounts are showing a high revenue, it does allow you more to spend, because obviously you've still got to work within the rules of the losses that you're allowed to have, but more revenue allows you to spend more as well. So, but I think we'll start to see more being spent on the squad as well. I do.
Just to put their revenue into context, Dad, the season we went down, we got relegated to League One. We were the highest revenue producing club outside of the 3 parachute payment teams. And that just shows the brains and knowledge they have to create revenue. It was staggering, really.
Yeah, and actually, the more successful the club are as well, the more commercial partners will want to get on board.
Absolutely.
So
it's the way sponsorship works.
It is, because they obviously want to support a brand that's going to give publicity and stuff like that. So it's great news, and I think now it really allows us to move forward. And now that we are going to have see for the first time the designs of the sports quarter, in particular the stadium, which is what most fans will be really looking at, it allows us to enjoy it, knowing that there's the Knighthead are in complete and utter ownership of the club now.
Yes,
you haven't got to worry what happened about the previous owners. Why are they still lingering on? Because none of us knew, did we? We always had that doubt in our minds, because we're not financial experts. All we see is our club not fully owned by the Knighthead, who are managing operational. On a day-to-day basis, but we all know about, and there's been plenty of publicity about the reason for it. The fact that the Zoe is it Zoe Investments, or whatever they're called. I've just given you their name, haven't I? They Zoe Future Group. They used to be called Birmingham Sports Holdings. They needed to keep overall ownership or majority shareholding of the club to keep their Hong Kong stock market stock exchange listing, whatever it is. But now it's happening. And Tom Wagner always assured everybody, "Don't worry, it's all." It's all buttoned down, it's all tight, and now it's actually happened. It's just fabulous, and and again, I think we can add that to the good start we've made to the season. We are starting to see a real identity to our squad. It ain't perfect. We know that, Blues fans. There's still gaps in the squad and still bits we need to continue to improve, and that will go on. Even the best teams, even the best teams, the teams that win the Premier League, who have actually proved that they got the players to win the Premier League, they go and invest again.
Of course they do.
Because you have to, don't you?
It's evolving. Because football's so unpredictable. It evolves so fast.
Yeah.
You have to keep investing in the latest and best players, it's a really good point, Dad. No matter where you are, you always invest to improve. And this is why the financial rules are tricky, because you still want to invest. It takes 2 years for it to trickle down, but you're on a 3 or 4 year cycle. It's complicated, but I agree with you. I think we'll see more revenue, which ultimately leads to a better product on the pitch. We can offer better money for players, higher salaries, all these good things that we know will produce quality on the pitch. And I think, fair enough, with the blip of getting relegated, totally appreciate that. But actually, even with that and the consistency of winning then in that league, I think we are on a high upwards trajectory. I think Blues fans will be a lot happier though when we get a little bit more stability and consistency on the pitch.
Yes, as I say, as we know, that will take time, and there will be ups and downs and frustrations. But
as the song goes, Dad. Joys and sorrows, keep right on.
Keep right, and that's exactly right. What a perfect song. You couldn't have a more perfect anthem for a club than ours, with the way that our club has gone over the previous years. But fantastic news, and really Really pleased. I'm sure you guys are as well, all Blues fans. Really pleased to hear now that that's all been done and dusted, and Knighthead are completely and utterly in full ownership of our club. So love to know your thoughts as always. Add a comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are about anything really in relation to Knighthead, the ownership, the future. Anything's on your mind, really, add a comment below and let us know. If you did like this podcast, as always, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, then pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to watch or listen to your podcast on Spotify, you'll find us on there as well. And you'll see the handles appearing on the screen for all of these channels right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already and you'd like to, then hit that big red subscribe button. And if you like notifications, every time we put a brand new podcast out, there's a little bell icon next to the subscribe button. If you hit that, that'll allow you to get notified. So that's it for this one. Hope you've enjoyed it. Myself and Matt will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.